Welcome to Superstition Mountain. Now before we get started today, I want to thank all of you who have subscribed to my channel, and I would like to invite any who have not subscribed as of yet to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And I would also like to ask for your feedback and your input as to what ideas of content you would like to see. So this week, if you would, down at the bottom, if you would just make some comments on what you'd like to learn, what topics you'd like me to cover, things maybe you're struggling with that I can be of help with. Now this week I would like to talk about a topic I've previously talked about it, but I'm going to clarify some things because questions are still arising. I still find students who don't quite understand the concept of how the hand path works in the golf swing. I still find people who are trying to make the swing go from in to out and doing it in the wrong way. So now, I would agree, I like a little bit of inside out path for most players. Myself, I like to hit a cut, so my path's going to be a little less in to out. And most of my longer hitters I like to have hitting cuts as well. But if your goal is to hit a little draw, you're going to definitely be hitting slightly from in to out. Now, the big key is how do we go about creating the correct kind of in to out path. In a previous lesson, I talked about how in transition, our rotation of our body sends our hand path on an outward direction, and there's just a hint of lowering to get the club back on the ball. Now, how does that happen? I want to go into that a little bit more in detail. So let's just talk about this. So first thing, how far do my hands actually travel in a golf swing? Well, let's just start with impact. So here we go. Here's a good impact position for a golfer. So something like this would be a solid impact position. Okay, now if I take this position and I leave everything exactly as it is and I just turn it to the top, you'll see my arms only moved this far in the entire swing. My arms don't have to move all the way down to the ball. Now if we can learn and apply that, we'll solve various problems. Because most players I see, they make this nice big backswing and then they're trying to get their hands and arms back down to the ball, which causes their hands and arms to really outrun their rotation, which causes the lead arm to break down, and you see a lot of chicken wings because of it. So in reality, your arms don't travel that far in a golf swing. They move a long ways, but most of that motion is created by the pivot of the body. Now let's talk a little bit about how your body pivots and how that affects the direction your hands go. Okay, so first thing, as I start down, my body's rotating and my arms aren't swinging that far and the club is not moving that much. All right, when I start to approach impact, my hands and my body are a lot farther along in the circle than the golf club is, which makes the hands start to arc left long before they get to the ball. So, sure, they make a nice circle like this, but impact actually happens with my hands much farther forward than where they started, so they've started to arc back up and left by the time the club gets down there. So that is a relationship that you see. The handle's working up and left, so the hands are working up and left, and the head is working down and out. Often at times I see players trying to get their hands to work more out. Well, then they run into some big problems. They either hit big blocks, shanks, and hooks from there because their hands are chasing up the target line too much. So your hands don't swing to the right. The whole idea of swinging the club out to right field, that's a bad idea. Your hands work in a circle. They don't swing out to the right. So now that we know our hands don't actually swing out to the right, what makes my hands move up and left? Well, that's the pivot. So as I come down, as my left leg starts to push back and away, it pulls my left shoulder up and back. which in turn pulls my left arm up and back, and my hands up and to the left. And because of that, that's what causes the club to release and snap through the golf ball. Here's a fun video that one of my students shot at the Phoenix Open of Cameron Champ. Now, I want you to pay attention to a couple things. So his hand path. In the backswing, you can definitely see his hands actually come down much more out than they went back. Now, on to the topic of today's video. I've traced a line following the handle of his club frame by frame, and you can really see how the hands travel out toward the ball, and then they reach their apex about the lowest point the hands reach is about P6, and from that point forward the hands are arcing up and in, which sends the club head slinging out. So you can see that the handle's going to go up and in, the head goes out. Handle up and in, head out. Which, because of that circular motion there at the bottom, that causes that club to release hard. And so you can see the two lines don't exactly match up. Now that could be partly due to the camera angle. I would contend that because of the fact that the club is arriving later to the ball in relationship to the circle that the hands and the body are turning on, that the hands have begun to move left sooner. So it's just a pretty cool little visual. In the video I did that talked about the lowering, what the lowering truly is it's the fact that my arms are farther along in the arc than the club head. So because my arms are farther along in their path into the ball, it appears that my hands are moving down in the arc. I hope this lesson's been helpful for you and answered some of your questions. Please be sure to subscribe and post your comments in the comment box, as I try to make sure that my content reflects the questions that my subscribers have. Thanks again.